Who else wants to learn how to make a converting webinar that makes money for you 24/7? All right, we'll bring up Russell here again to teach you. All right.
Okay. We're just getting started. You guys feeling good so far? All right. Who's got one cool thing you like, an aha moment you've had so far? Anyone had a couple? Let's grab a microphone so we hear real quick. I like to hear a couple. Make sure one time we did the aha moment. Some guy said something that was so unrelated, he never taught. I'm like, are you serious? Like, where'd you pull that out of? So I want to make sure we're all in the same zone here. Anyway.
Russell, my new favorite thing is open loop math. Man, I love that. The one thing I really got out of that was you boiled it down to giving away one CD. So you boiled it down to something just so trivial. So you almost took them out of the presentation and just said, look, if you can do this one thing, and then it all tied back together. So you got them to say something yes to something just trivial, in their head, and then bam, it just all made sense.
Yeah, it becomes tangible. People at that time. As soon as it's tangible, then they're sold. If they don't believe it, they're not gonna sign up. Okay, who else has got? Mike, there's a couple hands. Right? Kyle had one. Raise them high. Mike runner can't see you.
Yeah, the transition from presentation to sales was pretty powerful. My son and I speak at autism conferences, and we sell CDs at the back of the room. But just the way you transition from, let me ask you a question, how would you like to take this home with you? It's going to be real powerful. Just from that alone, I expect to triple my CD sales. I'm going to have to go get a bunch more made. So, and my son wants to be a public speaker, so he's
That's awesome.
really wants to move in that direction, so I appreciate that.
The worst thing you can do is that awkwardness when you're trying to get to your sales pitch. You see speakers who are untrained, they're like, so, I got this stuff, and they get all blushing, and you can tell they're trying to pitch. So Armin Moore was actually the first one that showed me that transition. I'm like, oh, thank heavens, that's so much easier. It gets rid of all the awkwardness. So, anyone else want an aha before we go on? D?
Open the loop before, and as I'm closing that loop, I'm opening another loop. And as I'm closing that loop, I'm opening another loop, and I'm reeling them in. And that works really well because I'm a fisherman, so I know it's like reeling them in.
Reeling them in, awesome. Cool. All right, is that good? All right. Okay, so, right there. So when I first, the first time I ever went to a seminar was Armin Moore's, I think it was his 4th big seminar. And I had never been to a seminar. The only person I ever met that knew anything about internet marketing was Josh. We're in a basement apartment together, and this whole world, I thought it was we were the only people in the world doing this thing. And I found there's this conference. So I'm like, this would be so great to meet other internet marketers. So I go to the conference, and I remember the first guy gets up and he starts speaking, and at the end he sells a package for $5,000. I see this group of people running in the back, and I was like, I had no idea. I'd never seen this before in my whole life. And I'm taking notes, and all of a sudden I see these guys running back, and I start counting. I'm like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I do the math. I'm like, holy crap. And the next guy gets up and speaks. The same thing happens. I'm counting. And after 4 or 5 speakers, I was just like, this is the coolest thing in the world. I got to learn how to do that. So I wanted to learn how to do it, right? And I was I was not a public speaker. I was in my normal life, I'm really a shy person. So anyway, I tried to figure out how that whole thing works. I started going to a bunch of training courses and learning a bunch of different ways. And the very first time I spoke, actually the very first time I lucked out and I kind of did well. And it was despite myself. It just kind of happened, and the group was excited. And we had 6 people bought at $1,000. It was $6,000. And the speaker gets half. So I made $3,000. And I was like, this is the greatest thing in the world. So then I got all cocky, and I thought I was the man. So I went to this other event, right? And I'm like, yeah, I know how to close in the back of the room. And the presenter's like, you got to make sure, because, So I go up there, I do my whole thing, and it was a room a little bigger than this. And whoever's ever spoken and just bombed bad? Okay, that makes me feel good. It's the most awkward feeling in the world. You're and the first 5, blah, 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 you close and you stop, and it's just stop, and crickets, and nobody's budging, and they're kind of shuffling their papers around, you're just oh. And you just it was the worst feeling in the world. I was like, screw this, I will never speak again. I don't care how much money those guys were making. It was this horrible thing. And then I bought some of this public speaking course. I tried some webinars. I got more and more comfortable with it. And I decided to try it a couple more times. I started doing it. I was making okay money doing it, but nothing ever to brag about. And I remember I was at Dan Kennedy's seminar, and they had 1,200 people in the room. And one of my first mentors, his name is Armin Moore, he was up on stage, And he did his little pitch and he sold, and it shocked me. Like, of the 1,200 people, he had like the biggest table rush, like, I don't know, hundreds, like 200 or 300 or 400 people running to the back of the room, paying him $2,000 for this thing. He walked out afterwards and he had a stack like this fat of order forms. And I was like, holy crap, dude, how did you do that? And he had invited me to speak at his event 2 weeks later. So I was supposed to be speaking at his event 2 weeks later, and I was like freaking out because I'm like, I can't do that. How did you do that? And he pulled me aside afterwards. He said, "Do you see how I did my close there at the end?" I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "It's called the stack." And he's like, "This is how you do the stack." And he explained it for like 5 minutes really quick. He's like, "I don't care what you teach in my event, but he's like, close with the stack or else you'll never speak again." And I was like, all right. So I go in there, and I have my whole presentation. I'm freaking out, and I try to remember what he taught me stack, and I kind of built out my PowerPoints. Next week I went up there, and I did my whole presentation just like I normally did, and I did the stack close, just followed it to a T. And first time in my life I'd ever seen table rush. People pounding to the back of the table. I was the number 2 seller. We had one guy who was giving away free like flip cameras when they were brand new for everyone who spoke. So he beat me out barely. But everybody else, I destroyed everyone else. And I was like, that is the coolest thing in the world. So I've never spoken since that day and sold out using the stack because I swear by it. I think it's the greatest thing in the history of the world. There's a lot of different closing techniques, but I think this is the best. I stole it from Armand. If you ever see him, thank him for it because it's the greatest thing in the world. And I'm just going to actually show you the stack with the microcontinuity presentation so you'll kind of see what it is. But basically, the main gist behind it is the typical speaker comes in and they do this. Say you're going to buy my package, say you get this. Plus, I'm going to give you this bonus right here. Plus, I'm going to give you this bonus. 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 And the price is $5,000 or $2,000 or whatever it is, right? Now, in the person's mind, the only thing you remember is what? The very last thing, the very last bonus I offered you. So if that bonus doesn't freaking rock, then I'm not going to be able to justify that. The only thing I remember is this very last thing. So what Armand said, when you create your slides, he's like, you go like this. You're going to get this, 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 and this. Then you get a bonus, which means you're going to get, a recap, this, 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 and this, plus the bonus. And then I'm going to give you this bonus over here, which means you're going to get this, this, this is, plus this bonus, and you keep stacking it. And the very last slide you show is everything, and then you give them the price. So the thing that they're buying is everything. Okay, so that's kind of the process. I'm going to show you how I do it in microcontinuity. Now, it was kind of funny. If you've ever seen me do this, by the end of it, people are almost giggling because the stack they see so many times, but it pounds in people's head. So this is how I would do it if I was speaking to you guys right now. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Who here would like for me to just do this whole entire thing for you? Okay, most of you guys, awesome. Okay, so what I'm going to do, the first component is the microcontinuity home study course. So this is the home study course. We actually launched this as an online product a couple years ago. And we launched it. We only sold 100 or 200 copies of it. And we sold that in 1 minute and 47 seconds. Okay, that's how powerful it was. And we sold this at $5,000. Okay, this is going to be a part of the package you guys get for free. That's component number 1 is the home study course. Okay. Oh, you guys can't see what I'm showing you. And the next thing, I can't see behind me. Come on, thank you. Okay. Everyone else is like, what is he talking about? Okay. So this sold out in 1 minute and 47 seconds. You're getting the entire home study course. I've only got 30 of them in the back, so you're going to be able to take it home with you if you're one of the first 30 people. If not, we'll ship it out to you. But this is the home study course. Again, we sold this for X amount of dollars right now. It's sold out in 1 minute 47 seconds. We only have a limited number of these. This is powerful. So this is the first part of the package. Okay, there's a total value of $2,500. All right. Now, Joy Anderson, she went through this program, and she was a stay-at-home mom. Let me tell you her testimonial. And I tell her testimonial, reading it through right here. So again, boom, it's strengthening the package. Because she was at the event that we recorded. She went home, made a whole bunch of money with her Micro C site. So I'm strengthening. Component number 1, it actually works. Here's someone's proof that it actually worked, okay? Boom. Here's Onyx and Gall. He's another person that did it. There's 2 testimonials. Okay, now component number 2 of my package is online member retention services. So you get this cool thing right here. So the total value today, if you look at everything, you get the home study course, plus you get the online member retention. So total value right now of $3,494. Okay, does that sound good? All right, now I got some special bonuses because I love you guys. I want to make sure you're happy. So component number 3 I'm going to give you is the instant traffic systems. Okay, so they're getting all these traffic systems. Remember I showed you how each one of these things can make you one, each traffic system will make you 1 CD sale a day. Here's 74 of them. So if you apply all 74 of these, you can get 74 CD sales a day. Okay, and I don't even want to do the math on that, but I know it's a lot. So you can get all these traffic systems, plus any ones we create in the future, you can get those for free as well. And that's component number 3. Okay. Now, Chelsea, she's an 18-year-old girl who went through this program, and she used just one of our traffic systems. Not all 74. She used just one of them, and she made 310 CD sales from just one of these traffic systems. Okay. So again, if you use 2 or 3 of these, you can just imagine how much you can make with it. Okay. Here's another Jeff Gardner. He's one of our traffic systems. And again, if I was actually doing my close, I would read these word for word. Okay. You want, like, your close is going to take you 15, 20, 30 minutes because you want it's not just me like brushing over like I'm doing it now. Like I'd actually read. Jeff Gardner said, as of last week, one of my microcontinuity programs made $19,500. This week I applied just one of your traffic systems. In less than 24 hours, sold 30 more copies of my front-end products. So in just 24 hours, he sold 30 copies. Remember, if you sell one, how much are you making in a year? $30,000. Okay, so if you sell 30, just imagine what that is. Okay, so total value gains, you get microcontinuity, you get online memory retention, instant traffic systems. So all this stuff bundled together right now, $8,491. Okay, but it gets even better. Okay, so component number 4 is we're going to give you your very own microcontinuity site. Okay, I kind of explain this whole thing, this is how it all works. Boom. Okay, here's some checks of people we sent money to that have their own sites. Boom, 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 boom. Here's testimony from Mike Filson about how great it is. So again, total value is this. You get a microcontinuity home study course. You can get the online member retention. You get instant traffic system. You get a preloaded microcontinuity site. Total value of over $13,000 so far. Okay, now component number 5, me and Rich Sheffrin doing a 2-day event you can come to in June. So the total value is $13,488. We normally sell this for $6,000, but you have to have some kind of price drop, and this was my favorite price drop I ever did. Because early in the presentation, I show them my office with like 10 billion books. So this is this is one of my bonuses I have for you guys. It's called the Help Me Fill My Shelves bonus, or the I Bought Way Too Much Crap bonus. Okay, so here's my office. You know how I collect courses. There's 2 shelves that are kind of empty right now. Now, who has ever bought something that they've never applied so far? It's sitting on their bookshelf somewhere. Okay, how much? Most of you guys probably spent a couple $1,000 for that, right? Okay, this is the thing. I'm a junkie. I want your courses so bad. So what I'll do is I'm going to actually knock off 50% off my price if you promise to ship me one of your old courses. I don't care if it's stock, real estate, personal development, underwater basket weaving. I'm into all this crap. So anything you send me back, I'll knock off 50%. Does that sound good? Okay, so send me your things, and that way there'll be space on your shelf to put the new course in. We got so much weird crap sent back to us, you guys. Like crazy stuff. Like, I love it. It's so much fun. Okay, so I'm gonna knock off $3,500 today if you promise me. Okay, this is a promise though. When you go back home, you're gonna mail it back to me. You guys all promise to that? Awesome. Okay, so we're gonna do that. So again, the total value: microcontinuity home study course, online memory retention, instant traffic systems, preloaded microcontinuity site, 1-day event with me and Rich. Total value is $13,000 so far, but I got a special bonus for the next 10 minutes. Okay, we actually put together a whole bunch of really powerful software programs. I showed you some of these during the presentation. One's our Comment Sniper software. It's $497 value. One's our Reverse Craigslist. One's this. Total value is $6,000 for this software. Normally we sell these individually, but I'm going to give you all these guys I'm going to give everyone the software for free for the first 10 minutes. Yeah, first 10 minutes in the back of the room. Does that sound cool? You guys want software for free? Awesome. In the back of the room, you're getting it for free. So again, what you're going to be getting is this microcontinuity home study course, online memory retention, instant traffic system, preloaded microcontinuity site, 1-day event, microcontinuity software pack. Total value $19,000, but I want you on my team. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this down into 2 payments of blah, blah, blah. First 10 minutes, go. So that's kind of how the stack works. You see how that works? Okay, so that's how we do the stack. I put those slides in the book on page number 10, so you kind of see them. They're mini, but should give you an idea of kind of how we structure, okay? So it's usually, here's the main components, and here's the value of that. Bonus, main components plus bonus number 1, boom. Bonus number 2, and keep adding, keep stacking it. You're going to feel really goofy doing it, especially by like the 8th stack. You're going to feel like an idiot. And people start giggling, but it works so great. Like I said, I won't sell without using this because it works so good. Okay? Who's got a question on the stack? No questions? Man, I'm a good teacher, right? That already made no sense whatsoever. Okay, so that's the stack. So I would recommend in any presentation you guys have, build that in because it works. Like I said, it's made me millions and millions and millions of dollars, and I love it. Okay, now this is something, next page, on page number 12. This is something I learned from Dave Van Hoos, Dave and Dustin and Imran. If you guys ever go to have a chance to a Power Day, they come out and they build your whole presentation for you, and it's amazing. And when I was out there, one of the things I learned from Dave is one of my favorite things in the world. He calls it if-all statements. Okay, and what he does is, what we just did, let's see. Okay, so when you're, when you're coming in here and you're building the value, so it's going to be, it's $3,000 plus, yeah, this, and it's $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $12,000, $18,000, whatever, like where you peak out at the top. What he does is very, very powerful. We started doing it, and it works great. Is when you get the biggest price point, before you start doing your price drops, you want to stop for a second and say, okay, so if you get everything in here, it's going to be $19,000. Now, all of us know, obviously, I'm not going to charge you $19,000 for this, but before we go on, I want to ask you a question. Now, if all this did, if investing in this package, if all it did was blah, 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 was change your life, give you the ability to fire your boss, if all it did was make an extra 50 grand a month, if all it did was this, would it be worth the $20,000 I'm asking right there? Okay, no, if all I did was this, and do you guys do 3 if-all statements? Is that right normally? 3? Yeah, normally do 3 if-all statements. Okay, so what I was doing, I was trying to tie it to like their time, their money, and their whatever the 3 major concerns people are going to have. But what you're trying to do is you're trying to get this top price point, like the 20K or whatever it is. You're trying to get them to justify that right now before you do the price drop. Okay, if you justify it after you do the price drop, you miss the whole point of it, right? You want them to justify at the top part, so in their head they're like, yes, this is worth $20,000. Then you price drop down, and it's like, holy crap, of course I'll do that. For only $2,000, I just admitted to myself that it was worth $25,000. So now I can do it right here. Okay, so that's how if-all statements work. Okay, does that make sense? So again, at the top thing, and what I've been doing lately is like, after I show the top one, I kind of stop for a minute and say, now before we go on, I know you guys know this is going to be the real price. You know, you're not idiots, we're smart people here. But before we go on, I really want you to think about this. Now, you know, I know a lot of you guys are trying to change your life, you're sick of your job, whatever it is. So let me just ask you, if all this did was do this for you, would it be worth it? And then wait, something. Now, if all this did was give you the ability, give you the vehicle you need to be able to do blah, would it be worth it? You know, if all this did was this, would it be worth it? So again, 3 of them, and say, okay, cool. Now we know it's worthwhile to you guys. I'm actually, because I want you guys on my team, want to help you guys out, we're gonna make this a lot more affordable. So that's where I would come back in, and that's where I would probably, in this presentation, that's where I bring back my help me fill my shelves, or I bought too much crap bonus. That's where I would slip that in after I did the if-all statements. Okay, because that's when I start price dropping back down. Now, a lot of you guys are going to think some of this stuff's cheesy and corny. I remember the first time I heard T. Harv Eker speak. Have you ever heard him speak before? I thought it was the cheesiest thing in the world. So he gets up there, he's got this huge board, whiteboard, and he like starts this package. He's like, this package is $20,000, and writes up there. He's like, but, he's like, he crosses out, he's like, $19,999. And the next one. And he's going down, and he ends up going down like dollar by dollar. It was like a 14-hour close, right? And at the end of it, he's down to like, $1,000. Okay, what was interesting is every single price drop he would do, a new group of people would jump up and run the back. Because in their head, they're like, well, if this is only $5,000, I'm in. And if they get $5,000, they're like, boom, I'm in, sweet. And he gets down to $3,000. Everyone at $3,000 is like, $3,000, I'm in, sweet. And he keeps dropping it and dropping it and dropping it. And a different group is qualifying every single time. And eventually, you get most of the room. And when he did it, it was amazing. It was like probably 50-60% of the room was gone by the time he got to the bottom. It blew my mind. And so I was making fun of him at first, and at the end I was like, huh, that really worked good. Maybe I should stop teasing him. So, yeah.
So it sounds great if you have all those things to stack, but how do you build a stack if you don't have all those components?
Okay, so this question was, sounds great if you already have a bunch of stuff to stack. If you don't, how do you build all those things? How do you build the first thing? Just make up more stuff. That's the greatest thing about this whole business is all of it's like, not make-believe, but it's like, it's not intangibles, right? So what's your product? Oh, it's my webinar. Okay. Well, I stacked, though. What did you stack for me, Russell? Okay, I did stack, though. What did I stack? I stacked free text messaging. I stacked a free consultation. I stacked a bunch of stuff like that. Okay. If you're doing your own, though, like just figure out like what are the different tangibles that you can offer. It could be an ebook. It could be, for mine, what were the things here? We had. So the core package was the DVDs. Then we gave them online member retention services, which is just like a third-party service we outsourced member retention stuff to. We just did deal with them. Third was the traffic system. That's part of the main course. A lot of it, we just took the main course and broke parts out of it. Because you can be like, here's a box of everything. Or you can be like, here's the course, and then here's this. And so you're breaking parts out and making it seem bigger. I'm friends with these guys in the fitness industry. They're doing crazy numbers selling this ebook. And they first sold it, they sold it as an ebook, and nobody was buying it. So they took the ebook, they took like the first 5 chapters and made that the ebook, and then chapters 6 through like 12, they made each one like a special report. And so when you see the product, it's like, boom, boom, like, looks like you're getting like the whole library for $30, right? And it looks great. It's just like the perceived value. But and people started buying it, but it was just still, its content was no different. It was just, the perceived value of it looked a lot more. Yeah, chunk it up, pull parts out. Yeah, because you look at micro-continuity and instant traffic systems are part of the same course. We just pulled them out. It seemed like 2 separate things. So your question was, when I'm building out my stack, can I do something I'm outsourcing and build that into the price? Yeah. So for us with online member retention services, it was another company, but it was something very valuable for people who were buying micro-continuity. It was people who would call your members if their card declined and call them up on the phone and make sure it was good. And normally they charge like, I don't know, a couple $100 setup fee. So we just said, hey, we'll bring you people if you waive the setup fee. And they said, sure. So now it became like, hey, you can get over here for like $300, or we'll just give it to you for free if you invest in the system. And so it worked really good, yeah. So you can do joint ventures with people all day long. I've seen people, like just for the local people here, you could partner with a local printer in your area. You could partner with, whoever it might be and say, hey, we also may be able to give you 500 business cards if you, whatever makes sense, and do joint ventures with other people that are around you. If you're in an industry and you have no other bonuses you can think of, like find your potential JV partners or other people in the industry and say, hey, do you have any bonuses you can give me? Frank Kern built, most of his list was built by, he took his Core Influence DVD, he's given away to like a million different things. Like Dan Kennedy's event, if you register for anything Dan Kennedy's ever done, he mails you out this DVD, and guess what? Frank's getting everyone's contact information through that. Every bonuses all the time, he's just giving away things to different people. So a lot of marketers have stuff they'll give you because it's good for them, it builds up their credibility, it adds them to your members area, whatever it might be, and it benefits you as well. So if you don't have stuff, it's easy to get stuff or invent stuff, interview some people. There's a lot of ways to bulk things up and make it look more valuable. Good questions, you guys. Okay, if-all statements. We talked about that. Okay, pricing stuff. Talking about my pricing stuff on page number 13 is basically just talking about that. Like you're building it up and then you're dropping back down, and you're gonna feel a little cheesy, but I promise you it works. The time that I bombed, I still remember one of the things I said, and it'll haunt me forever. I said, I'm not going to be like those other speakers and do the cheesy thing where I build up the price and try to show you. I'm like, we're all adults here. This is the price and what it is. And that's when all the crickets were, I'm like, crap, I guess we're not all adults here. Let me tell you what it's really worth. Like, that's what, okay? There's reasons why we do all this stuff. It's not because we're like cheese balls. It's because it works. So take that for whatever it's worth. Okay. Guarantees, risk reversals. I don't have anything like, oh, yeah. Let's grab microphones so we can keep. Sorry. That's what people at home are going to be like tired of me recapping everyone's questions. It's right there. Sorry. Sorry.
This is a question on pricing, and it really is going back to continuity. Have you found a sweet spot as far as pricing on your continuity as to keeping them longer? I mean, I think the average.
From a continuity standpoint, not from a webinar standpoint?
Yeah.
It's different on every industry you go into, vertical. We still we're $97 a month in the How to Make Money spot, which is good. We're trying to get in the fitness area, and that would not fly in the fitness area, in a million years. We're looking at $20, $30 in the fitness industry. So a lot of it's market dependent.
We've tried in our niche a set of tools that we give them on a continuity basis, and when we went from $39 down to about $19, we went from 2.5 turns to 6. And I didn't know if that was prevalent in other areas or not, if it was that price insensitive as far as renewal or cancellation.
It all depends. A lot depends how they got in, too. Like, we sell continuity on a webinar, that person's going to stay a lot longer than someone who bought continuity through, a free plus shipping thing. So it's a lot of how they're sold, the source. I mean, there's so many variables, it's hard to just say, one. Just curious. Sure. Yeah. One thing I want to mention, pricing for webinars as well, because this is probably a good question. And again, it's all market dependent, so a lot of you guys are going to be pricing these different prices. Some of you guys aren't selling an actual product. Some of you guys are selling, the DCS local people, you're selling more of a consultant or consultancy. So, so one pricing strategy, what we found is in fact, who was it? You were talking about earlier in the seminars. When I'm in a room, I can sell at one price, like in a seminar type situation. But if I sell the same price on a webinar, I get bombs every single time. It's just a whole different dynamic, having a group in a room versus an online webinar. What I found, my sweet spot for online webinars is about $1,000. If I go above that, there's for me a lot of resistance. If I go below that, there's almost no resistance. We've done something like $700 or $500. Brittany Lynch's, I think, was $497, and we crushed it. So I think a lot of times people mind, at least in the internet marketing space or business space, $1,000 is kind of what they're looking for. So you drop below that, you see some crazy numbers are happening. You go above that, and it kind of it makes it difficult. So that's for me. I'm usually $1,000 or below right now, and that's where we're staying. We're also doing a whole webinar just to sell our continuity program, because we did. We had one guy, Niche Profit Classroom. If you guys have ever seen them, they have a membership site, and they've got I think 5,000 or 6,000 active members. Every one of them is sold through a webinar, and their members never leave. They're on there for 10, 12, 15 months at a time because they're sold in the webinar. And they have an hour to be pre-sold on the benefits of it, and they just never leave, and it's amazing. We promoted it for them over a year ago, and we still get huge commission checks from them. So we're starting doing continuity stuff on the webinar. So there's a lot of things you can sell, a lot of different ways to sell it. Really quick, a couple webinar models. Obviously, the one that we're talking about today is do your webinar, and at the end of it, you sell your thing. One that's working really good for Frank Kern right now is he does the webinar, And at the end of the webinar, he's not selling anything. He goes and they fill out like a consultation form. Fill out this form for a free consultation with one of our success coaches. If anyone's ever bought things from me prior to 2 years ago, you saw a lot of those kind of things. Because after you get that, then they get a phone call from someone who then sells them. I think he's selling an $8,000 thing on the phone. So if you want to sell something that's higher ticket like that, this is a lot of times a really good strategy. For the DCS local crew, as you guys know, that's the way we're doing it. We're basically, some registers, they fill out a form at the end, because then you're doing the follow-up consultation, because you're selling, what you're selling is so different based on the client, things like that. So if you have something that's very customizable, this is a good way to do it as well. If it's not like a one-stop shop where everyone you're giving them, here's the box of stuff, you're, we're doing this for you and this for you. If it's customizable, this works really good as well. Network marketing. If you want to see like a really good model working network marketing right now, David Fry created, I think it's 3stepsystem.com. I think, is that what it is? I have a picture of it here in a little bit, but he has a webinar where he sells a network marketing program, and then after you join the network marketing program, you get a link to be able to promote the webinar to get other people in your network marketing program. So it becomes like a viral type thing that your downline can grow by doing the same thing you're doing, and it's working very, very good for him. He's got a couple of distributors that are blowing it up right now. Yeah. Mike, microphone check. If you go to Tony Robbins' event, they have like 10 dudes wearing hats or mic runners. And there's like the red hat, the blue hat, and then everyone sprints to the person, and then whoever gets there first waves their hat, so it's blue mic, and they turn blue mic on. So blue mic, go.
It's red.
Red mic.
On your to your free consultation, are you still doing a two-step close on that, or are you kind of using the webinar as the one step? So the setter closer
Great
model
question.
type.
Yeah, I'm using the webinar as the setter.
Okay.
Yeah, the webinar. Yeah, so for you guys, when we did the 7-figure shortcut event earlier this year, we talked a lot about the call center scripts we used to use, where it's like you have a setter and a closer, where the first person is like qualifying, getting people ready, and then the closer then close them. So what he's asking is like, do you have the webinar, then have a setter get on the phone, then the closer? And the answer is no. We use the webinar as the setter. It's the one setting. It's setting the criteria to make sure that person's qualified. Then they fill out the form, and then the person's just calling and closing. We're not actually doing that right now in our business, but that's how the guys who are doing it, that's how they're doing it. Yeah.
Can you walk us through that third model, the bottom model again?
His question is walking through the third model. Yeah. Basically, so you have automated webinar. So again, this is called the 3-step system. So it's really cool. Like his whole concept is like 3-step system. All you do is 3 steps to make money. Step number 1, you join, send out cards. Step number 2, you get your registration link for the webinar. Step number 3, you send all your people to the webinar registration link. And rinse and repeat, right? So they come and they watch the webinar. They register for the webinar. They can watch the webinar. It sells them on 2 things, on send out cards, and it sells them on the 3-step system. Because if you guys, who here is like a hardcore network marketers? You got to admit it. Come on, it's a cool thing here in this group. My goal in life is to join every network marketing company at least once. So, okay, thank you. All right. Now that it's a cool thing, we can all admit it. Okay, so network marketing, if you've ever been in it, what's interesting is it's and this is for me like spending 5 years trying to build an organization. It's way different than internet marketing. Like it's all based off of, you don't make money signing people up. You make money getting that person to sign the next person up, right? So the sales process, half what you're selling them is, here's the company, but by the way, this is the process. Okay, you're selling the process more. So the process is the same thing you're going through right now. This is what you have people come through. You send them to the 3-step system. They watch the webinar. They sign up. They send people to the 3-step system. And so they see the sales process. Because they can see it's identified, it's easy, it's simple, it's a solution like that. Then people will have something they can follow. And Dave just killed it with this. I think his webinar's kind of dry and didn't really, could be a lot better, but like the system's working really, really good. So, and I've talked trash to Dave about that before, so I don't mind mentioning it on camera in case he's watching it. I'm just joking. But the model's brilliant. So if you guys have a network marketing program, this works really good. So again, you're selling the product and the system, and then people will come in, they join, they're happy, and then they come back and they drive their people back to the front of it. And in theory, it becomes this huge pyramid scheme, and you're at the top of the pyramid. Yeah. I always want to say that thing that you guys are all thinking, but no one wants to say. So there you go. All right. Where are we at? You guys got me so off topic. Who wants to join my network, Mark? I'm in like 12 right now. So, you're in. Yes, Steve, the first one in the back. This is so off topic, but it's really funny. So, Matt Basak, he used to do big events like this all the time, right? And there were his own events, so he'd sell his own product, and he'd like always have one MLM he'd pitch. And this was his pitch. He's like, hey, this is the MLM. It's really, really big. Everyone here in this room is going to be my downline. But the first person back is going to be the first person in my downline. The second person goes underneath them. Third person goes below. And all of a sudden you see people like, oh, like jumping over tables, like pushing each other down, and like, because everyone wants like everyone else in their down line. And it's this huge brutal fight to the back. And what happens, you see the line and there's like 5 or 6 people in the back, and they all start like walking away, and then like attrition from behind, like before they've even signed up. It's really fascinating. So anyway, I'll leave it there. Okay. Where are we at now? We are on your 3 closes. Okay, so this is where it starts getting really, really powerful. If you guys watch the .com Secrets Local webinar, you'll kind of see these things happening. So when you were trying to sell someone, there are 3 major things we're trying to appeal to. Yeah? Yeah, there's not much to talk about. You should guarantee your product, and sorry, that's not very exciting to talk about. So, yeah, guarantee risk reversal. Like, have a good guarantee, because that lowers people's risk. Yeah. I wish there was something more exciting to say about risk reversal. Yeah, so there it is. Okay. This is like the prolific stuff. Like the fun stuff's the next slide. So we'll get to there. Okay. All right. So there's 3 emotions you want to appeal to when you're trying to sell someone. The first is desire, and this is the most important. Okay. Because all of us, we buy things based on desire. Okay. As much as we think we're logical, none of us think things logically. We all buy up based off desire. Second, after we've made the buying decision we're going to purchase through desire, then we try to rationalize it logically, so when we talk to our spouse the next morning, we can explain to her why I bought a $200,000 Corvette, because logically it gets better gas mileage. It's bull crap, because you want to feel cool driving a $200,000 car, right? Okay, so the first thing is desire. Second one is logic. Everyone, we rationalize our things logically. And the third one is fear, because fear is going to get people to take action now. Okay, so the first close, wealth imagery. Now, if you're watching the .com Secrets Local webinar, the way we did this was really fun. So we did the price thing, we kind of talked about it for a little bit, and then I did it differently, because like a lot of times wealth imagery, you'll be like now people talk about, I want you to imagine the future, what your things gonna look like and stuff like that. And it's kind of cheesy. Like I didn't really like that way. So with the way we did it in .com Secrets Local, that I just love it. I think it's working really good. Is the way we did our wealth imagery is we said, okay, right now I see people signing up, and for those of you guys who are signing up right now, I want to talk to you for a few minutes about your future. Because what has happened is that everyone who's already signing up, they get that like, oh, he's talking to me, and people who haven't signed up are like, oh, he's talking to the people who are signing up. Okay, and I said, okay, so I'm gonna talk to you. For those of you guys who are signing up right now, I want to talk to you about what your future is going to be like. Because now that you're a .com Secrets Local consultant, things are going to be different for you. Okay, it's no longer going to be you have to go talk to your boss for a raise or this, that. And I kind of start doing the wealth imagery stuff. Okay, to get those images in their mind. Okay, and then again, the way that I positioned this way was instead of me just saying, hey, imagine your future, imagine this. I specifically started talking to the action takers, the people who are buying, and started sharing the wealth imagery with them. So everyone who's on the fence is hearing that, and they're wanting that as well. Okay, they're like, man, I wish, I haven't signed up yet, but man, these people are signing up. That's what their future. That's what they're going to be doing. That's what I want to do as well. Okay, so you're trying to like forecast. Mike, what do you call it in coaching? Pre-frame? No, when you're future pacing. Future pacing, yeah, future pacing. So your future pacing, talking about what's going to be happening, what the future is going to look like, because you want people to see that. If they see that, they're going to believe it. Okay, so the first sale is all selling off a desire. That's the first thing. Okay. Now, as soon as they've been sold through desire, the next thing in their head's like, oh crap, how am I going to justify this to my wife? How am I going to justify it to my husband? How, whatever. So now you got to justify it logically. So there's a lot of ways to justify things logically. One way is the math close, okay? We opened the loop with the math earlier. You can close it with the math loop as well. And remember, we talked about this earlier. All you have to do is give away just 1 CD a day, and you're going to be making blah, 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 blah. Okay, .com Secrets Local, if you watch that webinar, again, the way that I close this is say, look, and for those of you guys who are nervous about getting started right now, we have a 30-day challenge, okay? And the 30-day challenge, you can come in and if the goal is to make your first sale $2,500. You make that first sale, you made more than twice your money back. Now, obviously, a lot of people go through this, don't make their money back, but guess what? Dee, she was able to do it in just 3 days after watching the webinar. Just 3 days, she more than doubled her money back. Okay, can you imagine that? And then I talked about Luke Harlan. Luke Harlan, he went through the same program. And in the first 30 days, he didn't do it just once or twice. He did it 3 times. 3 times in the first 30 days, he signed up people. That means he made $7,500 in the first month after joining because of that. So I start dropping testimonials of proof. So I'm trying to get them logically to explain it so that they can tell their wife, well, hey, this is the deal. If it doesn't work for me in the first 30 days, I can get my money back. But if I do it in 30 days, I can double my investment back. Okay, I'm trying to get them to logically rationalize it in their head. Okay. And that's what a lot of people forget. A lot of times we focus on the desire and we forget about the logic. But the logic is what cements that thing, okay? A lot of times you want things, but you just never get them. If you can logically justify why you need to get that, it changes the whole ballpark. Okay, and then the third is scare tactics to close. You have to have some kind of thing to get urgency. Okay, because the biggest thing people are going to do, especially after watching a 2-hour webinar or an hour-long webinar, is like, well, I could probably buy this next week, or maybe tomorrow I could buy whatever it is. So you need to have something like, you need to be buying this today because of this. Okay, it can be anything. When we do like the table rushes in the back, it's usually like, we've got 30 physical copies here, which means you can take them home, and we'll ship out everyone else's, but there's only 30 back here, so if you want one of the first 30, get back there right now. Kurt, I heard legends of you doing at Armin's with the diamond thing. We used to tell that story. This is like the legend of Kurt Christensen. He was like the leader, sold more at this event than anyone in the history of the big seminar. Do you want to pull Mike over here? I hope that I remember this story right, but I just heard rumors of it for years.
Really wasn't that cool. No, just kidding.
It sounds cool.
So we had these ring boxes that we brought up on stage, and so it was like, I can't remember the numbers, but it was like 20 or 40 ring boxes, and the ring boxes inside had the password to immediately get access to the membership site and start building stuff with it, right? Because when you purchase something online, you know, one of the most, you know, the old famous phrase you see, you know, it's available even if you purchase at 2 a.m., instantly, immediately downloadable, right? So the seminar, one of the big complaints people always have is, well, I purchased a seminar last weekend and I didn't get the package until, you know, the next week, and I was really excited and I wanted to go through it. So we just had these ring boxes, put a password inside of it, and then put them on the stage. And the price, it was a $10,000 seminar. And so during the close, we just told people, well, when you know that you want one, just come up and take one of the ring boxes. And so people were rushing the stage to grab a ring box, and we obviously, I think we ended up doing 400,000 or something like that.
That's awesome.
And then we did the same thing in London 10 days later and did 650,000 with the exact same close. Yeah. So yeah, it works.
Let me ask you, when you did that, did you show them the ring boxes at the very beginning of the presentation, or did you break it out in the middle, or how did you do that?
The ring boxes are part of the open loop.
Okay, it's the very beginning.
Yeah. So you have them there on stage. You maybe allude to it in some way. I can't remember. They're tied into the story somehow. That was like 5 years ago. I can't remember, but I'm sure they're talked about, because then they were already on the stage when I went on stage.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. David Fry, I saw him do this the other day at Joel's event. For those guys in Utah, you might have seen him do it. He walked at the very beginning and said, "This right here, this thumb drive is worth, I don't know, like, what do you say, $1 million." He's like, on this thing are like 8,000 interviews I've done, all the transcripts. This is the most valuable thumb drive in the history of the world. And he gets everyone like focusing, and they want this thing, and it's like they're dreaming about it. And it's like, and the value is like $1 billion, right? And then he goes and gives away one or two of them to like really motivational people. One guy was like a Marine. He gives them one. He gives a couple people these things, and everyone's like, "Oh, I wish I had one of those," right? There's this whole close. At the end, he said, "Look, I've got 10 keychains. I've got 10 of these here in the room. These normally sell for $1,000. First time people back there, you get it for free. So go." And everyone's like, "Whoa!" Like flipping out because he made so much value for this thing. Anyone here ever seen Joe Sugarman speak? He does the same thing with he has these Batman credit cards, and he tells this whole story about how he bought these credit cards and he spent all sorts of crazy money on them, and he ended up having a whole like warehouse full of them. He couldn't use them, and then I can't remember the rest of the story, but basically he ended up selling one on eBay and sold for like $800 on eBay. So then everyone's mind's like, this thing now is like worth $800. And he just closed, and then at the end of it, you got 2 Batman cards if you were. And anyway, I was like running to the back because I wanted the Batman cards so bad because the story behind it, all those type of things. Okay, so again, it's something you can start at the beginning, the free software, whatever it might be, but use scare tactics. So this is only available to X amount of people, or so X amount of time, X amount of people, X amount of whatever it might be. .com Secrets Local, because it's an automated webinar, we didn't want to say only for the first 100 people, because that's not true. We didn't want to lie. So what we did with that one is basically said this is a 2-part project we're doing right now. Part number 1 is to get consultants, and part number 2 is really to start focusing on the growth of the consultants. We said right now this spot is open and it's available now, but it's not going to be available forever. It could end today, it could end tomorrow, it might be in a year from now, but this is a finite period of time, and you got a chance right now to get in. So that's how we kind of preface it for that one, so that people are like, man, I need to get in now because it could be gone soon. Do you have a question or comment?
Yeah. Mike, I was wondering, what do you do in those situations where? What do you do in those situations where, like you've got the little thumb drive and you've got 10 of them, you got 100 people in the room and 50 go running to the back of the room. Do you actually have 50 back there then that you give to everybody, or what do you do?
I'm just kidding, I lied. Let's start a relationship off on a lie. No, yeah, there's pros and cons to that. And there's a lot of ways to do it. I've heard a lot of different methodologies. for me, what I found, I stopped bringing product to events because I found whatever I had in the back of the room, I sold exactly that number. It was really weird. And so if I do bring product, I always preface it ahead of time, like, we will if you're not one of the first 10, we're going to ship this out to you. But just if anyone wants to start today, the first 10 are back there, and then we'll ship everyone else the physical copy. But it could be a week, could be 2 weeks before you get it. But you just follow something like that, just to cause like the rush. And again, on a webinar, it's a similar kind of thing. Another thing that works really good on webinars, the reason why Brittany Lynch's webinar did so good for us, it wasn't an automated webinar, it was a live webinar. But what's cool is that she was going to do a 6-week live training course. It was starting like the next Monday. So like on Thursday, I'm like, this starts Monday. Like you got to get in now. And then Friday it starts Monday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. It's starting today. This is your last shot. This starts like in an hour. So if you want to buy it, and that kind of urgency is really, really good. So if you have any kind of live component, piggybacking the live right after works really, really good. And there's a lot of ways to do scarcity, but it's really important. Okay. So again, those are the 3 things: your wealth imagery close, your math close, and your scare tactics close. Do you guys have any questions about those specifically at all? Yep. Mike's back here, Mike.
I just get on the slam on the door shut thing, on the software stuff they're selling all the time, and they all do it now where they say we're going to shut the doors on 2 days from now. They got 1 million copies of this stuff, and they shut it down for a while and they open it back up. Does that work well, or?
Unfortunately, it does. That's why people keep.
You get kind of tired of it. Going, oh yeah, right. Plus it's electronic products. They got 1 million of them, so.
Yeah. Yeah, it works good if a lot of it's gonna be like the trend you set with your list. Like for example, Frank Kern's probably the best at this because he does his big launch, and he pulls it off, and then he doesn't sell it again for like 5 years. And he launches for like a weekend, and he pulls it off. And so people like actually believe him now because he really does it. I'm friends with another guy who every day does that, and he's never pulled any product down ever. So you kind of get both. For me, like I spend so much time building each product and each offer that like I'm in love with them at the end of it. So I never want to take them down. So I never say that because for me, it's art, and I want to make sure that website's there forever. So I've never done that. So it's just kind of your personal preference. But if you're legitimately doing it, legitimately do it, and you'll train your audience to jump. I said, Frank right now, first time we promoted one of his things, made me so angry. So it was the first time we launched Mass Control. I sent out one email the day of the launch. In the first it was under like 28 minutes, we made $30,000 in affiliate commissions, $60,000 in sales. And I said, this is going to be a $100,000 hour as an affiliate, which never happened to me before. 20, 30 minutes into it, he pulled down the site and didn't open it for another year and a half. And I was so angry. I was like, do you know how much money you lost me? Like, most of my list hasn't got the email yet, and it's already shut down. But he's trained his people that way, and they jump, and they're ready. So it's all about a lot of like how you're training your audience to react and not react and stuff like that. So, yep.
With a logic close, using math would be good for a make money product or maybe a lose weight product. What would be some examples of logic close for a product outside of those?
Okay. A lot of them is like the money they're investing in something. So, like I think you said in .com Series Local, I think we use this as well. Because a lot of times we'll stack, like we might use 3 logic closes, and so we stack sometimes. But like one of the things we use right now is say, look, right now this investment may seem like a lot. It's $1,000. It may seem like a lot of money to you, but the reality is, one way or another, you're going to pay that money. You're going to pay it to me right now, and to shortcut that learning, you're going to pay at least that much in trial and error, in trying this and testing that, and all these other things that are going to be happening. So the reality is, this is going to save you a lot more money long term than you trying to spend the next year, 2 years, 3 years trying to figure this out on your own. So that's one we use a lot. That kind of would work with, I think, most anything, just justify the price. Does that help? Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Time's a big thing. Shortcutting and helping through the trial and the errors and the potential traps, all the other stuff that could be happening that you're going to save by shortcutting with you. Good. Any questions at all? Okay, make sure those are in there. And for any of you guys who are doing like sales letters or sales videos or anything else, these elements we're talking about, they are the same in like all these different type of things. In the sales video, we make sure we have three closes. In sales letter, 3 closes. And all those things, like it's how you sell. Desire, logic, and fear. Okay. All right. Page number 16. This is called your offer slide. Now, something I learned from Dustin, actually. Oh, yeah. You have a question?
Russell, one thing I've always had issues with, integrity is really, really important to me and with my community. And it's something that I'm very open and honest with, like, my people trust me. And so I'm wondering if you can give us some more examples of the scarcity without sounding cheesy and really being 100% in integrity and still make a lot of money.
You gotta be a little. You don't want to be cheesy. Okay. I'm gonna say one thing real quick, then I'm gonna pass around. I have a couple of other people's ideas. One that I've seen Armin Morin do a lot, which is good. He just says, "When it's gone, it's gone." That's all he says. Run the back of the room. When it's gone, it's gone. He's not tying it to anything. He's not just saying when they're gone, they're gone. And it's kind of like a vague, and it works great for him.
What about on an automated webinar? Because I think that's the thing that's kind of sticky for me. Like, I have no problem doing a live one, but an automated one where you're saying, you know, only 100, or, you know, this is coming down in 2 weeks, and meanwhile it's like 3 months later and it's still up. That doesn't sit.
2 weeks. Say like, again, for mine, what we said in ours is this is part of a two-step process, which it is. Step number one, we're getting new IMAs, and step number two, we're going to be focusing on something else. This is a two-part process, and I'm not sure if it's closing out today or tomorrow or a year from now, but it will be closing out in the future. Or if it's not, you know, again, say this is not closing down, but this is. It could be like the first person gets in on something is always going to do better than someone comes in a year from now, 6 years from now. So like, hey, you know, you can sign up in a year from now. That's cool, but you sign up in a year from now, you lost a year of your life. You could have been having all these different strategies, all the things that you could have been doing in a year from now. So, you know, things like that you can kind of tie in. I had some people that had some ideas back here. Look like. Someone else want to throw in some ideas that help?
Yeah.
Could be more expensive later. The price may go up.
Yeah. First off, to understand, when you use the word integrity, it's relative, right? Like, integrity's... But that's the truth of it. So yeah, anyway, so one of the things that that I've done that feels in integrity for me is I'll set a time limit for something and say this offer is available for this long, but it's not that I shut it down at the end of that time, but I know that's the end of the sequence that they're going to hear about the offer. So if my follow-up sequence is 4 days, let's say, well, then there's a 4-day window. They can take advantage of that offer for 4 days. Well, but I know if they happen to click on the email a week later or whatever, the offer's still there. But I'm only going to be telling them about it for 4 days. Does that make sense? So that is in integrity for me in that case. No. So, but all I'm saying is, it doesn't have to be an integrity for you, but you can get creative and think of ways that are an integrity for you. Make sense?
Josh has got a comment back behind you.
All right, so this might work for you. And I guess I have just had this epiphany, and I'm not going to give it all away. Sorry.
Josh always holds things back.
Yeah. Essentially, if you want to limit an offer, what you need to do is you need to rotate a coupon. And the coupon needs to be a date-based coupon. And so when you're talking about automation, you can automate this, but you need to manage it. And so you could have a coupon that only works for a certain period of time. You can rotate different webinars with different coupons. And essentially, people are watching that webinar during that period of time. You can say, it expires on this date. And someone might be watching a week ahead of time, or they may be watching 1 day before the expiration. So that person who watches the webinar would have to return again, watch the entire presentation, and be presented with the coupon that expires on that date. And that's a hook. And so you can legitimately use that to limit or to cause some scarcity.
That's pretty cool. I might test that on ours. That's good. One thing's powerful. People always want to get a deal, so they go to your order form and it's $2,000, but they put in this code it's $1,000. That'll probably help a lot more than just here's an order form with $1,000. Anyway.
One of the things, if you are a person of integrity, then do what you say you're going to do. But if they click on that link, if you don't take it down and they click on it, well, this offer has expired, but it will take them to another link. Well, that one's done, but this is what we're offering this week, or this is what we're offering this month. And just have it, so you're taking it down when you say you are, but in order to take advantage of the people who are looking for something, you've got something else in its place.
You could, I'm sure most automated software, you can probably build in, like when he was talking about the sequence, have the 4-day sequence, and after day 5, like just the order link expires. That would probably be something pretty simple. So, yeah, great feedback, you guys. Yeah.
One of the things One of the things we use as the scarcity is we can only handle, our support people can only handle X number of people per month. We set that at a high enough number that we know we're not going to reach that number in the month, so we're telling the truth, and we drop it on each webinar. We'll change just that one slide as to how many more are available. And so over the process of the month, we'll do a webinar once a week, for example. It'll start off at maybe 50 and go to 35 and to 20 and then to 15. And so we're telling them the truth. The next month, we can start over at the number we want to start over.
Cool. Okay, Kyle's at 1, 2.
Hey, Russell, there's a book I recommend. It's called The Principles of Influence. It's by Robert Cialdini. It's called The Principles of Influence by Robert Cialdini, and he talks about that in pretty good detail. He talks about a sleuth, using scarcity and being a sleuth of the principle or a thief of the principle. And it's a real good read because it'll kind of guide you and still allow you to maintain your integrity, but still use those principles. Just if you're worried about the integrity of it, he can really point you in the right direction in that book. So it's a really good read for that. And it was very helpful for me. So The Principles of Influence.
The Psychology of Influence?
Psychology, he has a couple of them.
Okay.
But it's Robert Cialdini. I think it's C-A-I-L. You guys, a lot of you probably have read it, so.
It's good stuff, yeah. Dustin has some back here.
I'll just throw it out. That's what I used to do. So I would do a business credit presentation, and one of the things I included in my offer was 30-minute consult with me, which the reality is like 1% actually will actually take that up and love the idea of hand-holding. So I would say, look, I can't be on the phone with everybody. There's a lot of people on this call. I can't be on the phone with everybody. So for the first 5 people that take action, they're going to get that. And then I would go through like my bonuses and things, and I say, look, I want to make sure everyone gets access to this. So if you guys would agree with me, the first 5 people are going to get the first 5 spots. Then everyone else that buys tonight can still get advantage of that and take advantage, but you're going to go into the queue. So if that helps you, you could still have that scarcity in there, and then at the end, still make them feel good for taking action, and then make the first 5 people feel good because they get the priority access.
First, I want to thank everybody for all their ideas. I really appreciate it because I think, I don't know what your name is. Is it Justin? Justin, everybody has a different level of integrity, and, so I think, no, sorry, that didn't come out right. No. I thought those were the words you used, but that is not what you used. I'm sorry. I take this back. I think everybody has a different definition for that, and everyone, you have to feel comfortable. And I know that when you and I, a whole bunch of us went out for dinner, I told you the story about when my dad was on life support and almost died, and I shared that with my 100,000 list, and everybody prayed for my dad. So now every time I send an email to my list, it really comes from my heart. So for me, it's like sending an email to a friend. So that's where my integrity comes from. It's something, honestly, before my dad was on life support, the emails were different than what they are now. So that's why. He's fine now, by the way. He recovered 100%. But my point is, that's where I come from when I'm doing, these emails and stuff. It really, truly has to come from a place where it's really genuine, and it's, I would actually come out and say, I want you to buy it now, and so this is the bribe for you to get it right now, and they'll know that I'm coming from my heart. It's like, come on, get on this now and get it, because it's really great. And my list is very, very responsive. So I just appreciate everybody taking the time, because it's kind of getting my wheels, like yours, you had yours, and everyone had different things, and so it's just kind of not necessarily exactly that way, but maybe a few different things. So thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, just one last comment on that whole idea, especially in scarcity. If you can tie in your scarcity has some hidden selfish benefit for you as a product owner, it comes across as more believable, because it is believable, right? So like, for example, mine is, I talk about during this whole presentation how I have an investing system. So I want to put more money into this investing system, and I keep talking about, well, what if you put in $25,000, et cetera, and then at the end of the presentation, there's 25 slots. Well, and the 25 slots are how I raised the $25,000, and I close that loop by reminding them, remember when we talked about that earlier? That's exactly how I'm doing it. So there's a selfish reason, and it ties into the scarcity, which is a support issue, like he mentioned, because I really can't handle more than that. So it all ties in as part of the same story.
Cool. All right, thanks everybody. I appreciate that. Him too. It's always gonna be zigzag.
Kind of stealing from your IMA training. If you're working with something that's got location specific or niche specific, I can promote that I can only work with 3 chiropractors in Apple Valley. Well, I can also work with 3 chiropractors in Burnsville because that's a local type of thing where people don't drive a long ways generally. And I can also work with cosmetic dentists, 3 cosmetic dentists in Apple Valley and 3 lawyers in Apple Valley, and just it's almost unlimited what the market is, and yet you can put it to them that, do you want to be trying to figure this out while your competition is getting up to number 1 on Google, or do you want to be sitting there jumping ahead of them while they're trying to figure it out?
Yeah, awesome. Area exclusive stuff's really good. Makes it really easy to sell. Yeah. 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 What does your area mean? Cool. Okay, let's keep going. We're going to run out of time. Okay, so next thing, page number 16 is your offer slide. Now, when I went to my Power Day with Dustin and Dave and those guys, one thing that really struck me that was interesting is that when they built anyone's presentation, this is the very first slide they built out of the entire presentation was the offer slide. And then they worked backwards from there. And since I started doing the whole timeline thing, we build it all out. Like, that's exactly the same thing. You build out this slide first. Oh, it's in your book, page 16. Build out this slide first, and then move forward from there. So that's basically what your offer slide looks like. The one thing we found, most automated webinar software is something like thing where your order form can pop up and things like that. But there's always weird issues on people that have Windows 98 and the thing doesn't work anymore. So we always make sure on our offer slide we also have a URL they can go to. That's just kind of something that we found has helped conversions a lot. But then basically what happened here's a recap. So just like the stack slides, this slide has everything in here. So you build out the entire thing. I think we spent like an hour when I went out there to the Power Day building out this slide, having what else can you offer? What else can you offer? What else can you offer? And building out all these different things and making our entire package. Here's the whole package. We assigned a value to every single thing in the package and looked at what the whole thing was at. And that was the very first slide. Then from there, we can reverse engineer and build the whole rest of it out. Okay. Now, one thing that was really powerful that they also talked about when we were out there was making sure that each of these things don't just say, a red marker, and you're going to get a blue marker. And if you act now, you're going to get a green marker too. You want to make sure these are all benefit driven. So the benefit is this blue marker. The cool thing about this blue marker is the fact that it can draw blue things that'll help you, blah, blah, blah. And this red marker is going to be able to do whatever, okay? So all these lines here, they're benefit driven. So even the top right here, the first time we did this presentation was .com Secrets Local, and then went back to my audio from my Power Day. I remember Dustin was talking about we did the Underachiever Freedom System. I was like, crap, .com Secrets Local is one thing, but the .com Secrets Local Freedom System is way cooler because it can give people freedom, right? So we changed that to be a benefit-driven thing. And I started going back through here and changing all these to become benefit-driven as well. As you notice in the book, my bottom ones aren't because I was getting tired that night. It was like 4 in the morning. But that's probably something in the next iteration we'll go back through. Is things like Lawyer in a Box, Deep Pockets GPS, Add Power Package. We'll probably make those more benefit-driven text as opposed to just the feature. Because benefits sell, not the features. What's that? Yes, one at a time. Any lawyers in the room? Someone said that it was not me, I swear. Yeah, then they're allowed. Okay, so that is your slide. So again, if you're starting over, if you're building the whole thing from scratch, that's where you start at is your offer slide. You build backwards. Okay, next section. This is something we added into the automated webinar after the very first. This is one of the very first things we added into our webinar, and it had a huge impact on sales. And all we did is we were getting all these questions people were responding back to us watching the webinar the first time. So much so our support couldn't even handle it. We were getting so many questions back. So we took all these questions and we made a list of here they all are. And they all kind of broke down to 5 or 6 or 7 core questions. So we did in our webinar, go back to the webinar timeline, is, I'm not sure, there's a transition, here's the stack, we'll stack in here. And then this is kind of where we show the price and those other things happening. And then we open up the section where it's just basically FAQ and said, okay, And we got a lot of questions coming in right now. I don't have time to answer every single one, so we've kind of compiled a bunch of them together. These are the answers to the questions. And then I basically went through and just answered all the questions that people were having through watching our webinar and the concerns people were having. Similar to what we did back in the content section, where you're finding out people's concerns and resolving them, we are re-resolving them here in the Q&A section. Okay, during the Q&A section, we had up a slide that had all the order information, all the pricing. It was just me talking. So, okay, the first question I have right here is from so-and-so, and he's asking about the refund policy. What's the refund policy? Well, I mentioned earlier, there's a 60-day refund policy. So that means if you don't make money in 60 days, just refund your money, and you know, we part as friends. If we don't make money, you shouldn't make money. Okay, now the second question we have right here, a lot of people were asking me about this. And I just started going through all these questions and answering them. I spent probably 20 minutes just answering questions like that. And I obviously tied them back to like the things I wanted to re-emphasize as well. So like if I wanted to make sure we re-emphasize the 30-day challenge where people can make their money back in 30 days. I talked a lot about that, and I put those questions in there. Okay, but there's realistically probably 5 or 6 questions that everyone watching your webinar has. So if you put those, if you list out what those are and just tack that on to the end of your webinar, that was a huge lift in our response, just adding those in there. Nothing difficult, just responding to questions that people were asking. So the free class questions was really, really good. Trying to think of anything else I want to mention about that. If you don't have any free class questions yet, you probably know kind of what people are asking, so you can build it off of that as well. And again, when new ones come in, just, you know, when we get a lot of the same question, we just kind of go back through and add it back in. So we have a whole section there at the end. And then one thing we added also did really well is we added at the very end a testimonial rush. So after I've gone through all the frequently asked questions, I know a lot of people have been on this webinar for a long time. They may have forgotten like what the whole offer was and stuff like that. So I come back again and say, basically, don't forget when you sign up right now, this is what you're going to get. And I show again one more stack. Here's everything one more time. And then I say, when you get this, you're going to have a chance to become like Dee and become like Russell, and become like all these other people. And I do a testimonial rush where I show all the testimonials I've been showing them throughout the whole entire presentation. I'm rushing them again, right? Then for like probably 2 to 3 minutes, I'm saying, and don't forget, Luke did this his first 30 days, and so did this, and so did this, and so did this. I kind of rush them really quick, and this kind of re-anchoring all the things, all the testimonials they had earlier, and bringing them back again one last time, so they kind of see them all one more time, and then we close at the end. So we call it a testimonial rush. Testimonial rush. That worked really, really well, good as well. Testimonial rush. Okay, that's pretty simple. Okay, so that was the most stuff we did for our webinar the very first time through. Then, when was it? Dustin, when was your guys' event that we went to out in California? Is that a month ago or 2 months ago?
Yeah.
2 months ago?
A month ago. October? November. Which one? 7-Figure Shortcut or?
No, the one that you guys had that
November.
November, yeah. So last month they did a big event out in California. And I went out there and I talked about webinars and stuff. And then afterwards there was a guy named Ted Thomas there. Who's ever seen Ted or know Ted Thomas? Okay, so he wants to do an automated webinar. He was going to actually try to be here this weekend, and then he had another event, his own event he can break out of. But he basically asked me a whole bunch of stuff about webinars, and we were talking, and he asked me to come to lunch with him. And we come to lunch, he said, Russell, while you're here, I want to teach you the one strategy that's going to make you more money than anything you've ever done before. He says, it's a concept called trial closes. And he gave me this little piece of paper about it, a book about it, spent about half an hour kind of explaining the concept to me. I said, that's interesting. So I went back home, took our automated webinar. This was like a 4-day process. I listened to the entire webinar, and I listened for places I could insert trial closes. And I'll explain what those are here in a second. I listened to them, and I started mapping them out. So you can see here, I have 4 pages inside here, guys, or 3 pages of that. So in 1 minute 05, I inserted a trial close. In 1 minute 21, I inserted a trial close. At 2:07, I inserted a trial close. 3:05, I went through the entire webinar to add all these different trial closes in it, added the whole thing in there, and I'll explain again what those are in a minute. But our conversion on our webinar went up 75% just from inserting the trial closes. Okay, so let me explain to you what a trial, who else knows what a trial close is? Okay, who thinks I just did one to you right there? Okay, so what a trial close is, the goal of a trial close is to get people's heads to nod, right? This is kind of what Ted told me. He said, you want to get people's heads to nod. And Ted's famous. If you guys heard him speak, they call him the Pied Piper. They said like he'll speak, and like the whole audience will be following him to the back of the room. He'll just follow, get everyone's credit card, like close the entire room. And he said through these trial closes. So a trial close is I'm trying to like get you guys to say yes as quick as I can and keep you saying yes. I want you guys shaking your heads and nodding your heads like this, okay, throughout the presentation. Okay, so for example, if you look right here, I'm going to read some of these trial closes so you'll see what I'm doing and why. I'm trying to get you guys, again, get your heads to nod yes. So the first one was at minute 05. I said, so that's why I'm so excited for this webinar. Are you guys ready for this? Okay, I just asked you this question. People are like, yeah, I'm ready for it. So you nodded your head. Now, are you ready for this exact same change that's about to happen to you? Boom, I see another trial close in there. The minute 21. I showed Dee's case study, and then I threw in a trial close. And I didn't write out the trial close here, but it was probably something like, can you imagine what it'd be like to be like Dee 3 days from now watching this webinar and then making your very first sale? Okay, trial close. Can you see how the software is going to shortcut your success? Do you want a free copy of it? Just stay on today, and I'm going to email you copies. Does that sound good? I go on and on and on. In fact, I got so blatant here, I was having some fun with it. If at minute 4:47, my trial close is this. If you want these results right now, then nod your head yes. Now, I know I can't see you, but I want to make sure that you're participating in this webinar. It's very important, don't you think? So nod your head yes right now if you're interested in this. Okay, so I'm trying to get everyone to nod their head. And I keep saying it, and again, there's 3 pages here of just trial closes I inserted all throughout. Now, again, a trial close is basically a question where you try to get them to say yes without them actually saying yes. I say it, but I keep moving on. I don't really like remain on the topic. I say it and keep going on. Okay? The best times to do trial closes, anytime you do a testimonial, most people destroy their testimonials. They show their testimonial, then they go on to the next thing. The best thing, you show the testimonial, so-and-so, D made all this money, blah, blah, blah. Isn't that awesome? Can you imagine what it would be like to do that in your life right now? What would your life be like if in 3 days from now this happened to you? Okay, can you imagine, what would your family think about that? Okay, I just dropped 5 of them right there in a row. Okay, so I want you guys not just to brush past testimonials. They say a testimonial, and then get people to think about it. Get them nodding like, yeah, that would be cool. Can you imagine how cool that would be? So anytime you do testimonial, you want to do it. Anytime you have a feature, a benefit. So anytime we start going through okay, first thing is the lawyer in the box. So you get a lawyer box, you get this, this, and this. Do you think that's going to save you a lot of money in the long run if I'm paying your lawyer fee instead of you're paying it? Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to help all of us, right? So I'm dropping these trial closes all throughout. So again, this 19 through 21 is kind of my cheat sheet of all the trial closes I jammed into our webinar that gave us a 75% increase on conversions. Is that pretty cool? Okay. Again, this is one of those things that I always thought was cheesy and dorky, but it works really, really good. Watch the good speakers when they speak, and you'll see them doing this a lot. I'm doing it more and more in my everyday life now, which is kind of weird. I notice Dustin does it to me all the time too. And at first I didn't know what he was doing, but now I know, and I can catch him every once in a while. But when you get good at it, you'll start doing it all the time because it works really good, don't you think? And when you're talking to your spouse or whatever, and you want steak, yeah. So I'm doing my wife now, and she doesn't even know what's happening. So make sure she never finds out. But it works really good. Anyway, if you read through those, you see a bunch of them. Even something like, wasn't that cool? What do you think about that? Does that sound good? Would your family be impressed with those kind of profits? I know mine would be. Are you ready to live that exact same dream? Have you ever asked yourself that? Am I right? Do you realize how much opportunity is waiting for you right now? Would your income be would that kind of an income be like getting an immediate raise for you? Do you already have that desire for change? Anyway, there's a whole bunch of them. And again, we tried to slip them in where it didn't sound like I was a cheesy salesperson, but I was legitimately I shared testimony isn't that awesome? Doesn't that seem cool? Anyway, that's how we hook them in. So trial closes are awesome. I've never done them in my webinar from the very beginning. I've only done inserting them in afterwards. So it's the type of things that's going to be, if you're doing it the first time, it's going to be difficult to kind of do. So what Ted Thomas told me, he said when you speak on stage the first time, he's get a bunch of trial closes. He's lay them all over the stage. And when you're talking, just look down. Every time you see one, then do a trial close. And then talking again, you see the next one, do a little trial close. And you start getting in the habit of it. So when you're doing your webinar the first time, I would, when you're recording the webinar, the way, I don't know how everyone's probably does it different. I just open up Camtasia, and I get that one slide, and I just keep re-recording that slide until I have it perfect. And then at the end of it, I try to drop a trial close or two before I switch on the next slide. And my brother, he does all of our video stuff. He just listens and he watches, one slide 10 times in a row. And he gets the very last one and cuts everything else out, and then just edits that down, and boom, he knows exactly which one was the slide that we want to use in the thing. A lot of you guys, when you're doing your automated webinars, you're going to have to either get good at Camtasia or find someone that's good at Camtasia or video editing, because especially when you start splicing things in, you're trying things, because most of you guys aren't going to want to sit down for an hour and just bust out your webinar and then, okay, it's done, because there's so many little things that you don't think about naturally. So for me, each of my slides, I have my slide, I have my note sheet, here's a couple trial closes I'm going to try to throw in this slide, here's the story, whatever it is, and then boom, I record just that slide with the voice inflections I want, with the trial closes I want, until it's just perfect, and then I go to the next slide. Okay, I'm going to focus on this one. So my video ends up, the first time I did the .com Secrets Local webinar, I was in the office. I went in after everyone left at night. I was there from probably 6 at night till 5 or 6 in the morning, so almost 12 hours. I think I had 5 or 6 hours of Camtasia video time that was recorded that I had to give Scott the next day, and he spent do you remember how long you spent editing that? I think it was a nightmare, huh? Yeah, it took a couple days from just cutting out all the crap. Then he got down to the core version, which we ran with, and then when I did the trial closes, I just got my microphone out and I recorded all these things. That's why I'm so excited for this webinar. So you guys ready for this? Are you guys ready for the same change that's about to happen to you? And then he took all those things and just spliced them in there. And he came back afterwards and said, okay, these 3 right here, your voice inflection didn't match the words prior. So it was like me going, hey, how's it going? Isn't that awesome? So he's like, you got to change that one again. So he came back, gave me this. You got to re-record all these ones and then make your inflection drop from here to here. And then I record all those, and he spliced those in, and then boom, we had the next version of the webinar. In fact, that's why I was going to kind of come and like give you guys, here's our PowerPoints for the whole webinar, but we don't have like one version of the PowerPoints in my .com Stickers local webinar because we've done so many variations and so many like, it'd be like 40 different files. But that's kind of how these things work. Again, the whole goal is not to get a perfect day number one. It's a process. It's doing the first webinar and then tweaking things and changing things and adding in testimonials. And so it's important to learn Camtasia or find someone who can do some video editing for you to be able to splice things and tweak things and change things. That make sense? Cool. Okay, so trial closes, and I think that was, that was most of the stuff I want to talk about webinars, okay? So I'm going to talk a couple more minutes. I just want to give you guys an outline for what the rest is happening today. Like Mike said, we're going to go to lunch here in a few minutes. After lunch, I'm going to be talking about the automated webinar sales process. So this first half is like how to like design your webinar. Next half is going to be here's the sales process. Tonight we're going to start talking about traffic, and then tomorrow's going to be all day just hardcore about traffic. So that's kind of the game plan in case you guys are curious what's happening today and tomorrow. Let's see, we're at 11:30. So let's do this. I want to kind of build someone's webinar really quick in the next like 20 minutes, just from a conceptual timeline standpoint like this. So who's got a product already done but needs a webinar that wants to volunteer? You haven't done? Should I have you come back? Okay, come on up. Yes, you. Do we have any chairs we can bring up? Okay. And the reason why I want to do this is because, like I said, with Josiah, was Josiah still here? Is he gone?
He went to the office.
Oh, he went to the office. We can put him back to work. So Josiah was the one that, when we did this what's that? Okay. When I did the webinar a couple weeks ago that we like, busted the whole thing out in an hour, he's the one that filmed the whole thing. I was whiteboarding it out. And I just want to show you guys kind of how I whiteboard out the idea, because hopefully it'll give you guys, see my process, and then you guys can kind of copy it or take it or whatever. Do we have any chairs we can give her to sit down?
Oh, what a gem.
We have one right here.
Are you going to stand?
Oh. Okay. Welcome. How you doing?
Oh, great.
Awesome. Thanks for being our first volunteer.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what I'm going to do first is tell me what your product is.
Oxytocin factor. It's a stress relief supplement.
Okay, so oxytocin factor stress. What does it sell for about?
$49.95.
Okay, cool. So the first thing I want to find out. So if I'm going through this timeline on page number 2 with you guys, the very first thing I want to find out from her is kind of what the hook's going to be, because that's going to dictate all the rest of the rest of the kind of the storyboard. So what's the big hook or the big exciting thing that gets someone to want to be on a webinar?
To be on the webinar? Oh, to find out how to reduce the stress in their life, improve their health, their well-being, their relationships, reduce disease.
Okay, so a lot of stuff.
Lots of stuff.
What's the big thing? What's the one thing that's like the majority of people will be like, holy cow?
Maybe there's too many. The one thing, feels good to be happy.
Feels to be happy, okay. That's not tangible.
You want more? You want tangible?
What's something tangible? What's something tangible that it?
Thank you. At 10 years to your
Okay, should we
life.
play off that one? Let's do something like not even though. It's like 9.6 years to your life or something. 9.6 years. It's true. If you say like you can make $1 million a year, you say make $1.243 million and 63 cents. It sounds more believable. I don't know. Okay, so that's the thing. So, and I'm not sure that's the best hook or not the best hook. And you might even have multiple hooks. Like one thing we're doing with ours right now, and I'll talk about this in the next section, is we're having multiple different landing pages, all with different hooks to get someone onto the webinar. Because our webinars discuss a lot of different things, and one thing that gets you excited is not going to get you excited. Okay, so we have different landing pages pulling off different hooks, so we can test a lot of different things. With the webinars, pretty much going to be the same no matter what. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now we come back here to the timeline. The main thing right here we're going to be building out is the offer slide. So what is your offer? What are they getting?
The tangible product?
Yeah.
A bottle of sublingual drops of oxytocin factor that contains a hormone that will reduce their body's stress response.
Okay, cool. So you're getting a bottle of supplements. Mm-hmm. Okay, what else can we get? We got to do a stack here. So what else can we bundle in there?
Let's do some massage therapy.
Okay, massage.
Something related to stress.
And this can be make-believe
that
for
could
today.
be, kind of make-believe.
This can be make-believe for today, but I want you guys to think about this too, because this is like the process. We're going to be getting things out.
We have several free reports. Absolutely, thanks.
Not a free report, a premium report.
We do have a monthly subscription, but that's actually for the supplement.
Meditation CD.
CD.
Okay.
Weighted blanket.
Okay, cool. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to build out this whole slide. Obviously, I'm not going to get out PowerPoint right now and build it, but like you build out here's the whole offer slide, everything that you're going to have in there, right? Okay, so that's the first step of this. Now I'm going to start building my stack backwards. Okay, so the first thing, let's just pick, because my timeline's only this big and I got a fat marker. Let's just do 2 bonuses. So one of the bonuses is going to be like right here. Let's see, I'll do it down here. And one bonus will be right here. And I don't really care. Let's say this is the CD bonus and this is the massage bonus, right? Okay, so there's going to be a slide right here where I'm like, but if you act now, I'm going to give you a really cool CD with blah, blah, blah. And then I'm going to have a little stack. So let me throw in the red one. I'm going to throw a stack right here, and a stack right here. Okay, so the red ones are stack. Can you remember that? Stack. Okay, so again, I'm taking the offer slide and pulling out some elements. Stack, stack, stack. So I can come back here. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Cool. Let's see, and then, okay, right here, after we have the offer, this is where we're going to have the if-then statements. So right here, I'm going to make a slide down here. It says if-then. And then I do my price drops. So here's my price drops here. Okay, so I'm just kind of mapping that out. Now I'm going to step backwards again a little bit forward. So I'm going to come back. So now that I've got this part kind of dialed in, now I'm going to come back to the very beginning of the presentation. So the first part of the presentation, we've got to get their attention. So what's is there been any like crazy news stories or something like crazy that we could talk about that's related to the whole oxytocin thing?
Look, we had a really big news story in the Daily, the iPad newspaper, that talked about oxytocin factor improving your sex life.
Oh. Hold on. This headline sucks.
I wasn't really sure if we could talk about that.
Let's make a new headline.
Since we can.
By the way, if you can throw sex into your product, do it. Okay. So now we're selling sex.
I think I just figured out what our hook needs to be.
We made all of our lives 1,000 times easier now. Okay, so now we're selling sex. Okay. Yeah.
Right.
I can live for the next year, and as long as I have sex, I can survive it. Okay. So, wow.
I'm blushing.
I'm blushing too. So, okay. Okay, so. Okay, you sold me now. Okay, so we're going to start off back here with that. So we're going to start with, so that's my attention grabbing thing is like, by the way, I'm not sure if you guys if you have an iPad, but the iPad News, they just show a whole story about this. I'm going to share a couple big features right now. That's going to grab, that's the attention grabber, okay? I don't care who you are, you probably want that. So there's your good attention grabber. Okay, sweet. So we got our attention grabber. Okay, so what's the big problem most people have? Come on. If you don't have any sex and you want sex, what's the problem most people are having?
They're stressed out. They're disconnected. They're
okay. So step number 3 here. So we got to identify the problem and solve it. Okay. So the big problem, if we're talking about sexting, and this is kind of the hook, and again you can do with your webinar however you want to do it. But let's just say let's go on the sex angle since we're there. This is the big solution. So by the end of this webinar, I'm going to be showing you guys a really cool supplement you can take that's going to help you overcome this and this and this and this and help increase your sex life, just like this article you just saw and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so I just opened the loop. I identified the problem and promised that we're going to solve this thing at the end of the event. Okay, as long as we promise them, it's going to show them how to do it. Maybe you can even give away, like we're going to be giving away 1 free bottle at the end of this event. Or we're going to be giving, something like that. If you want to, you can hook them to be able to want to stay to the end. Okay, and you can think about that. But there's my hook. Okay, now I come back in, open the loop. Now my credibility. So for the credibility, the story part is going to be your story, or do you have someone else's story you want to tell? It's kind of like the whole. Like did you have problems with something before you started using the supplement, and it's helped you a lot?
That's why we created it.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we'll go here. So here it becomes like, this is like your story part. So again, you're going to talk about like the problems, why. So like, again, empathy with them, like this is where I was struggling at this and this and this and this, and then we discovered or created this, and then boom, we walked them through here. So there's your story slides, okay? They're going to be kind of walking you through there. Cool, and what's the story behind it?
Working to provide stress relief mostly for parents. And
were you stressed out, or did you have a lot of parents you worked with?
A lot of parents that we work with that were stressed out. I've been really stressed out as a parent before too, absolutely.
So I would start with that. I was really stressed out as a parent. Anyone who has kids? Who has kids here? Okay, I've got 4 kids now. My twins turned 6 yesterday, so I know what stress is like. It's crazy, right? So the whole stress thing, but not only was it me, I also worked with all these other parents as well, and they all had stress as well, and it was this kind of this common thing that all of us all have. I'm sure you guys have felt that before. Have you guys felt that before in your life? Boom, true trial closes. You guys catch that? Okay. All right. So there's a story, and then and then somewhere along the line, now the transition point is, so here's a story, here's a transition to did you say you created it?
Yes.
Okay, and how'd that come about?
Conversations with a pharmacist.
Cool.
Just talking about it. There's all kinds of information about oxytocin. It's already in your body. But how do you get it if you're not in good relationships? So taking a supplement to help your body create more of it just made sense. So going to find someone who could help us create it.
Awesome. So now you're taking him on the journey, okay? The reluctant hero's journey. Very good. Okay, so you're telling the story. So we got the story here. Credibility, you already have the story from the newspaper to credibility. If you have any other news, say anything credibility-wise in your credibility pack you can throw in there. It's coming after the story because you want to build your street cred. Street cred slide. We don't have time to really dive into exactly what that is, but you're building your street cred. Okay, now we're going to the content. So what are some things you can share with people here in the content section? If there's like 3 things you can teach people, what would the 3 things be?
About the effects of stress.
Okay, so
Stress is the number one factor in all diseases and disorders. It is the number one cause of death with heart disease and diabetes and...
Stress, death?
Mm-hmm. And it is the number one cause of dysfunctional sexual relationships.
Bad sex. Which one's
Bad
worse than these
sex,
3?
that's right.
Okay. Quick here now, yeah. Okay, so we've got the content piece pretty much built out. Boom, 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 content transition. So we transition, we start stack. So boom, we carry right into there. Transition to stack, and then we've got back here, we have FAQs, and so you got to pull out 10 FAQs you can build into it. Any testimonials you can run up your testimonial rush, and that's pretty much it. So I would literally spend 10, 15 minutes mapping this out for me. And I'm usually all with the pen, so I have I can draw little lines. If I draw slide by slide, I draw the lines. I draw like one slide up, down, up, down, up, down. That's how I do mine, like this, right? So I got the whole thing kind of built out like this. Then I come out, I bust out my PowerPoint, I do the slide first, and then from here I just kind of go backwards. Now, what the misconception most people have.
You do go backwards, though.
Not the whole, I do this backward, and I do the whole stack first. That's my whole thing. All the way through the stack, all the way through the close, and then I start back over here and move that way to the stack. Yeah, so I start off the slide, build out the stack, and then come, and then come. So that's how I go. Now, one of the big misconceptions that people have, and I've had this before, is that when you're building out slides, we try to put every single thing on the slide we're going to talk about. And the problem with that is when you do that, I don't know, I'm not a big fan of that. Like, I like more freestyling. Okay, there's a reason why I didn't create 1,000 PowerPoint slides that everything I was going to cover today. I kind of gave a book with some notes and some outlines so I can kind of freestyle. When you freestyle, especially like in a webinar situation, it sounds so much more real. You don't want it coming off like you're reading a script. You don't want it coming off like you're just, you know what I mean? You want it to come off like it's a real thing. Especially if it's, you're trying to mimic a live webinar, you want this to seem as live as possible for people. And so, you don't even have to, like, if you look at the .com Secrets Local webinar, 90% of our slides are just a headline in the middle and me talking for like 15 minutes. I don't have bullet points in a lot of them. So if you're in a rush, you don't have to do bullet points. Now, I think some bullet points are good, but not writing out the whole like sentence. Like just like a 1 or 2 word bullet point so that you can kind of remember the thought process and you dive in. Because you have the whole thing, your audience is going to be reading that whole thing and they're not going to be listening to you. Yeah?
Russell, do you keep notes off to the side so you don't go off on a tangent or carry too much or miss something on the other side you want to make sure you carry?
Yeah, so this question was, do I take notes? And so for me, when I'm recording this in an automated situation, yeah, I have slide by slide, I have notes on everything I want to make sure I cover, the stories I want to cover, and the trial closes I want to insert into that slide. I'm just doing one slide at a time, like that. Yeah?
Okay, so I've noticed, I've watched kind of
This is going to be a good one. Hold on. Grab a mic. This is our get already. You got it? Oh, you got it. sorry.
So I've just watched a ton of webinars, and I have seen many, many gurus that have read verbatim word for word. Now, I'm not, debating their results, but you're saying that you will get better results, better conversion by just using bullet points and then embellishing what it is that you've...
If you're trying to mimic a live webinar, yes. With a sales video, I read word for word. With this, I don't. With this, because we're trying to create, the psychology guys are trying to create an environment of a live feeling, yeah. So when it comes back, because actually the very first time I recorded it, we had the whole thing scripted. I read it, and I sent it to a bunch of people to test, and everyone was bored with it. which was really weird because like it was a great copy, but by the end everyone was just like, I couldn't even really watch the whole thing. So then I was like, and we spent a lot of time on that version of it. And so I told my brother like a week later, I'm like, well, we're doing the whole thing from scratch again. He's like, are you kidding me? But then we just did it this way, where I had each slide, again, had my notes, my trial close, all that kind of stuff, recorded it, and then next one, and it just comes off so much more energy, so much more, especially if you're trying to keep someone there for, an hour
and a half,
90 minutes. Yeah, like I think you need more energy, more excitement, and stuff like that.
Okay.
I think with a 20-minute sales video, I still record a script because I think you can, but I think it's different when you're trying to mimic a live. Like if I came up here today, I was like, the core elements for your webinar funnel, prevent, registration emails. Like you guys would have been like, you serious? We could have freaking watched this at home. Why did we come out? So I think it's better that way. It gives me more energy. And that's just my opinion, and I may be wrong. But who knows? Okay. I have no idea where we are now. Does anyone else know? Okay, 3 closes. So the first close we're going to talk about, the wealth imagery close. Now, for them, obviously, it's not wealth imagery. It's
happiness.
Happiness imagery, yeah. So a good example for yours, it could, you could model like we did with .com Secrets Local, saying, okay, for those of you guys who are already ordering right now, I just want to talk to you about the results you're going to be feeling as soon as you start taking this. Now, the first thing you're going to notice, first thing I noticed when I started taking it, was I started getting blah, 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 and I started doing this, and then the next part was this, and da-da-da. So you start kind of telling that story, and so everyone who's buying, seeing that, and who's not, they're seeing that in their mind. Their future pacing. They're seeing what the future could be like, what it's going to be like very, very soon. Okay, the second one is a logic close. So yours isn't so hard to justify a price. That's not that expensive or something. So logically, what's the logical thing that would keep someone from buying your thing? I know it would keep me from buying. I'd be scared that the hormones were going to turn me into a girl or something.
Oh.
Like that'd be. Don't you think?
That could be, yeah, that could be.
That's always my fear with taking drugs. I'm like, what's this going to do to me?
What makes this safe?
Yeah.
Because it's already in your body.
Yeah. So that might be my logic close is more like that type of thing. Like, now a lot of people are nervous because of this and this, and these are studies that test it where you can take it, you can, something like that. I think would be more logical for me than money, because I don't think money would keep me. Because I know if I bought that and I got like a whole bunch of oxytocin bottles, and I think my wife would be like, what are you taking? Like that would be more of a concern than like, you spent $45 on it? Like, you know what I mean? But I may be wrong. If that's something you could know more from your audience to kind of find out, but that'd be my guess. So I logic with that. And then your fear, what kind of fear could you associate with it? Yeah.
I think,
you're going to be dead any minute now. This is your only chance.
By not acting now, I mean, you're missing out on, if you wait for 6 months, if you wait for a year, you're just putting off your happiness, you're putting off your fulfilling sex life, your great relationship with your kids and your family.
Yeah.
Why delay? Happiness is waiting right now.
Seize the day.
Click here.
Awesome.
Now.
Good. So you got your 3 closes in there. Off slide, freelance questions, this one rush, answer trial closes. Okay. So that's basically what I do. So I'd build this out right here.
But I'd be open to other scarcity ideas.
That's
just mine. I'd like to hear someone else.
I think that's good. I think that's really good. Like I like the whole like. You guys all seen Dead Poet Society? That movie was kind of lame, but that one part was awesome. For those who haven't seen that one part, Robin Williams, he was a teacher, right? He brings those kids in. He shows them the picture of the founding class or whatever the place, and they're all dead people. And he's like, look in their eyes, look at the excitement and the emotion, and like they're so alive, they're so excited for their future. But guess what? He's like, all these people are dead now. He's like, can you hear him? He's like, listen up, can you hear him? He starts making that weird noise, and he starts saying, seize the day, carpe diem, seize the day. He says, that was their time, it's gone, it's that fast. So this is your chance right now to seize the day. This is your chance. I would probably do something like that and say, I mean, what's going to happen to your relationship if you wait a year from now? What's going to happen to your happiness in a year from now? What's going to happen here in a year from now? Can you imagine what that'd be like? Can you imagine what that's going to be like? Yeah, I like that. I like that one. That's actually a good one too. That as far as Sonia for an ethical thing, it's it's a lot more off the speeding up your happiness as opposed to using that for the fear. Anyway, okay. Cool, that's what I want to show you guys. So when you're building out your webinar, again, there's a lot of ways to build out webinars. This is how I do it every single time. It's worked pretty good for us in the past. Now, I just want to kind of give a plug for Dustin and Dave. Dustin's here. They have a service. I've never seen anyone else do this service before where you can actually go to their office and they go through a process similar. Their script's a little different than mine, but very good. And they basically build out your entire webinar. I went and did it last December. It was a great process. I've used, as you've seen, I took a lot of their elements and added it to kind of how I do mine now. They do a great job with it out there, and they do the webinar, and then Dave, who's spoken on stage like 8 million times, actually does he pitches your webinar for you, and then they record it, and then you get to pitch it to them, and they record it, and they kind of critique you, and it's a really good experience. Who here's had a Power Day through them? bunch of guys. So it's a really good experience. And if the writing part of it intimidates you at all, I've never seen anyone else do what they do, and they do a great job. They've written like 200 or 300 presentations for people in the last 2 years. So it's a great thing if you guys are looking for it. Okay, well that is everything for pre-lunch part of the event. Thank you so much, everyone. Let's give a round of applause for